where we look across the Isthmian League and the Southern Central and all the drama that it brings. This week we have another blockbuster episode lined up, more FA Cup upsets over the weekend across the country, teams still struggling to get their seasons running, and of course the FA Trophy draw being made in all that process as well, and that coming up as well this weekend. As always, our resident Isthmian League fan, Zach, is here. Zach, how have you been, mate?
Yeah, I've been good. Had a week of freshers, so probably not feeling my best right now, but looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, how's settling into uni so far?
Yeah, very good. Very much enjoying it. Haven't been able to see any football yet, but I think I'm planning to go to Corn on Saturday. So
Very
yeah,
nice. Very nice indeed. We were meant to have a fan from the Isthmian League on today, but sadly he's had to cancel due to his own personal commitments. So it is just me and Zach for today's episode, and we'll get right into it, starting with the Isthmian review this week. Zach, I'll let you go ahead, mate, and kick us off. What's been happening across the league so far?
well, I think first we should send our condolences to Billy Viggle's family. The absolute awful news about him passing
Hmm.
last week. But other than that, league's been looking interesting. Brentwood still absolutely flying, um, unbeaten in the league, and I think they're very much leading the race for the title.
Yeah, 100%.
Folkestone and Chatham still very close behind, both performing as expected. I think the signing of Joe Pigott and Bivesh Gurung, having them two come in early on in the season, are both just massive signings. I think Chatham but have a very good squad, which is being able to keep up at the top of the table. Then the early leaders in Dulwich have started to struggle more.
Yeah,
In their
definitely.
last 6 games, they've only won one. So, yeah, I think their honeymoon period is officially over a little bit.
No, exactly, most definitely. And you see in like the likes of Folkestone, like you say there, Brentwood 5 points clear at the top. They're really, really still just keep on. They just keep chipping away, don't they? And we looked at on the last episode their game with Billericay, being
Yeah,
like the big one for that weekend of fixtures, and they've ran out 3-0 winners to remain top. I
yeah,
mean, in terms of Billericay, from what did you catch anything in that game? Because obviously it's the first game under new management, and
yeah.
lots of
It was
different
really,
things being
yeah. I
implemented.
think Billericay, I think it's still early days for Danny
Mm.
Scopes. I think the next few games are going to be important, but they've just come off a 3-0 win against Hednesford
Yeah,
in the FA Cup, which was a massive win. Hednesford are a good side, big side. So I think realistically, with Billericay, you've just got to look at their next 3 games, and two of which against Lewis and Cheshunt, who are currently near the top. So yeah, I wouldn't read too much into Brentwood beating them, but still very good result. Not many teams will beat Billericay 3-0.
no, 100%.
So yeah,
And you look at you mentioned one there, another one that's really getting form behind them now as well in Chatham. I mean, I'm just looking at the results here. So in all competitions since their loss to Folkestone, they've won one, two,
yeah,
three, four, five, six on the spin in all
yeah.
competitions, including some FA Cup games in there. Scoring goals, a lot of goals, aren't they? And keeping teams out. I mean, what are you making of them so far?
Absolutely flying at the moment. I think Sam Sene Richardson on the left, I think superb player. Been getting goals, been scoring, been probably their best player, arguably. And
Mm,
their side play fast attacking football. And I think, yeah, they'll be up towards the playoffs, if not the title,
no,
coming for season.
100%. Definitely. And I'm a bit gutted that Leo, the Ramsgate fan we were going to have on today, isn't here because I wanted to touch on Ramsgate as well in a little bit because, their form has been a little bit better over recent
Yeah,
weeks. You look at it, especially in their last 4 games, 2 wins in there as well. Big win over Welling.
yeah.
Obviously struggling at the bottom end of the table, but still to go out and win 4-1. Relatively impressive. What do you make of them at the moment?
Yeah, I think it was a slow start for Ramsgate, but I think now they've gotten used to the league. Obviously, as a newly promoted side, they sort of came in without any
Yeah.
experience. I think re-signing Joe Taylor, who very much knows the club, will know how to get goals for the team, and the manager will know how to get the best out of him. It's a massive signing. So I think, yeah, they're going to start to pick up majorly now.
No, and the big thing I didn't even like when I was looking at the Isthmian League table for this. I mean, they've conceded 23 goals in 10 games, which is definitely something they need to
Yeah,
work on because scoring goals is not an issue for them at all. I mean, they've scored some of one of the most in the division, but conceding wise, it is the worst in the division. So that's something they
yeah,
need to eradicate, isn't it?
yeah, 100%. I think the thing with Ramsgate, though, they'll be happy to stay up this season. So I think on current form they should stay up easily, and I think that'll be a
Mm.
success for them.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, on the bottom end of the table, then, mate. I mean, teams that stand out, in my opinion. We spoke about hashtag a few weeks ago, didn't we? And it's
Yeah,
three games without a win. Sorry, against opponents you'd not maybe fancied them against as such,
yeah.
but especially the Wingate game, which they lost, you'd expect them to go and get a win or a point at least there. I mean, is it possible that we reopen that can of worms, that Devs has maybe taken this project as far as he can?
I I personally think so. I think if you look at the squad as well, it's just like it's an Isthmian team you'd think about like
Mm,
10 years ago. Like it looks
yeah,
like I don't think it's a modern Isthmian League side. And I think
no,
they'll definitely need to change it up. I think he's tried. He's put a few players out on short-term loans. So,
mm,
but I think he's hitting sort of his end point.
no, definitely, and they're hitting that stumbling block. I mean, I think the benefit they've got is that you can quite easily probably name four teams worse than them, can't you?
Yeah, 100%.
With
Yeah,
Canvey Island and Wingate and so forth.
yeah,
So they're probably going to miss out. Well, let's touchwood. Probably they won't get relegated this year, but in future years, and if they want to go back to where they
yeah,
were last season, pushing on the playoffs, they need to make a decision on the pitch and off it, don't they?
yeah, 100%. I think, yeah, what is it? 3 wins this season,
Hmm.
and two of which are against, yeah, average sides. So, yeah, not impressive at the moment.
No, exactly. Which they need to start picking it up. I mean, is there anything else? Obviously, we'll look at St Albans a little bit as well later on. But in terms of just a quick touch on it now, I mean, I'm looking at the table. I've seen a lot of green, so there's been
Yeah,
a lot more of a turnaround for St Albans recently.
yeah,
What have you made
100%.
of that?
Yeah, so unbeaten, I think, in 7 games in all competitions, maybe 8. But I
Mm,
think we were just ticking along up until the Lewis game where we thumped from 3-0 and could have easily been 6 or
yeah.
7. I think our strength is attacking. I think we've just got to attack. We can't sit back. Like against Whitehawk was a really frustrating game. I think Whitehawk were unlucky not to win it, but like first 10 minutes we could
Mm,
have got 3 or 4. Then we decide to sit back for the next 85 minutes, go 1-0 down. Then we attack again for the final 10 minutes and could have scored 3 or 4.
yeah.
But yeah, so I think now we're attacking. Like against Lewis, we pressed them high, played football, smashed them 3-0. It's just what we've got to do every week now. But I think
No,
now we're
exactly.
hitting our form, hitting our stride. There's now a bit more of a feel good atmosphere, which we've missed
Mm.
for the last 2 years. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's
definitely.
looking up. FA Cup fourth qualifying round now against Banbury. If
Yeah.
we win that, massive for the club. So yeah, all looking
No,
up now.
exactly. And these cup games, they're not exactly easy, are they? Both being
Yeah,
away in the trophy and the FA
yeah,
Cup, but you'd like to think the Banbury one. I think you'd probably go into that just edging maybe as favourites, and then obviously the
yeah,
Averley one can be very close. In terms
yeah,
of like the next league fixtures, you got to look at the likes of Potter's Bar
yeah.
and Welling as 6 points, haven't you?
100%. We only played Potter's Bar last month in the league. We're already playing them again. We beat them 4-2. That was a good. But we attacked them from like against Potter's Bar. We just need to set up the same way, attack them from the
Yeah,
start, and just blow them away. Welling, we've had many good games against them over the years. But yeah, we'll be looking at that. Need to win that. But yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, is there anything else at all then in the league that you want to cover before we start speaking about the Southern League?
Let's check. Dartford, just being
Yeah.
erratic. Like 6 red cards now in 9 games.
It's the same conversation every week, man.
Yeah. Like Ollie Box now getting sent off. Like no disrespect to Ollie Box, but he looks like a child. I'm surprised he could get
Yeah.
sent off. But yeah, so but you look at it, it's like if they could keep 11 players on the pitch, stay composed,
Mm.
I think they'd be a very good side. But very much an
But it's
issue.
the discipline factor that we've said
Yeah,
so much this season already, isn't it?
yeah,
Because I'm looking at their results. There is a lot of red cards. Oh my word!
yeah,
But like there are, they've not lost in six in the league.
yeah,
But you also have to consider they've had two, three, four red cards in those 6 games.
yeah,
I mean, it is mental, and that's not form. But that's not
yeah,
something you want as a team going to be knocking on the
yeah.
promotion door, is it?
I think it puts
Right.
more pressure on the manager because he can't field the same team every week.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's another thing. That's a good point as well, because you can't get a rhythm then, can you, either,
Yeah,
if you're constantly having to get these players. I mean, there was one week they had two men sent off as well, weren't there? So
yeah,
they're constantly having to chop and change because of these suspensions and their poor discipline record,
yeah.
which
It was quite
they need
funny
to sort
against
out.
it was quite funny against Aveley. My mate Will, who's a Dartford fan, I was like,
Yeah.
I messaged him, "Oh, what was it for?" And he told me, said, "Player just punched a bloke in the face." Like, doesn't stop for him.
No, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. Okay, then we'll go on to the Southern Central then, and I'll kick us off by talking about a team that I don't think we spoke about as of yet properly on the show, and that's Alvechurch, because this is a team who, for anyone that follows the Southern Central League, they'll know that this is obviously a small village in Worcestershire who have been massively punching above their weight for quite some time now. Just being able to stay in the division, and having so many high quality players come through the ranks and play on them and loans and whatnot. But this year is looking really, really good for them. You know, they've got the best defensive record in the league with 5 goals conceded this season. Narrowly missed out as well at the weekend, to be fair, against Chelmsford. They only
Yeah,
lost 2-1, and it was goals from Lyle Taylor, who was obviously played in the EFL not too long ago. But it's their league form which is, going to catch attention, because they've not lost in the league since, I think it was Stratford at the end of August. They've gone on to beat the likes of Hale Owen, Leamington Spa as well in the FA Cup, who are a division above. And one person they've had at the heart of all of that is Jose Marquez, who was on loan from Forest Green for, I think, a very
right.
short spell. I think it was only a month or 2 month loan. Obviously gone back to Forest Green now, and has played in the National League with them. So I think that's someone to possibly, just keep an eye on, see how he develops. But he had 3 goals, a number of assists as well for Alvechurch. But they're just ticking along so nicely, and they're in that massive clump along with Kettering, and you're seeing Rail Bedford getting there again now, Corn, all these sort of teams that are just separated by 1 or 2 points. Alvechurch are finding themselves in there, and I think massive credit to them for being such a small village in the middle of Worcestershire to go and
Yeah.
do what they do consistently. I mean, it's a massive hats off to them. Is there anything in the Southern you've noticed at all, mate?
Well, I think Real Bedford started to turn it
Yeah,
around, like Real Bedford of old. 9 goals scored in the last 3 league games,
they are
which is very
really,
much,
really turning it on.
yeah, the numbers you would expect. I think Sinclair got it right. I think bringing in just 2 or 3 players just to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah,
They just did not have any experience, but then they bring in 33-year-old Lewis Hilliard. And I was watching the highlights against Worcester, and he just looked, yeah, just like that experienced midfielder you need in a side like
mm,
that. So now I feel like Real Bedford will start pushing their way back up there. Spalding,
exactly.
Spalding are just taking along up towards the top end. I think, yeah, they've got some very, very good players. It's from Roberts, right? Who's,
Yeah, Jack Roberts. Yeah,
yeah, Jack Roberts is absolutely flying, and yeah. So, yeah, I think,
yeah. Spalding's an interesting one, because they just can't seem to get momentum. But well, they can't seem to get a run
yeah,
together. They go ahead, and I mean the Banbury one where they lost 4-1, that was
yeah,
mental. Because you wouldn't have expected that. But they've got, like you say, the quality, and they beat Dagenham in the FA Cup over the weekend. Obviously, Dagenham struggling, but it just shows the level that Spalding are starting to get to. And the players like Jack Roberts now, anyone who follows me on Twitter, I've tweeted about him way too much already this season, and I'm not even sold a fan. But that kid is quality. I'm going to get his stats up now, but he is the top goal scorer in the league with 6. He's got a number of assists as well. And you have to think of Bart up front as well. I mean, they're scoring a lot of goals, and they've got a lot of quality in that attacking areas.
yeah,
If they can just tweak a few things defensively, they can really start to close the gap to Harbour, can't they?
yeah, 100%. It's like, yeah, between Zabriskie and Roberts, 12 goals, you could potentially have 60 goals between them come end of the season, which will be ridiculous. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, I think just simply having those two is a major boost. I think just need to settle the side a bit more, but also like a midfield, like player who I won't stop banging on about is Alfie Bendel. He's sort of
Mm-hmm.
one who will just go under the radar, but he just does the job so well and works so hard. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it there a little bit. That clunk of teams that are all separated by 2, 3 points. Obviously, Harbour. I'll touch on Harbour in a minute, but they're running away at the moment. But you've got the likes of Kettering, Overchurch, Spalding, Bishop Stortford, Corner falling off a little bit, but they're still in there. Hales Owen and Rail Bedford are picking up. Redditch are in there, and you can even go down to St Ives and Leiston if you really want to. It's so tightly contested, isn't it? And we said it on the podcast we did with Russell Penn, the Hales Owen manager. It's very much a case of anyone can beat anyone this season, isn't
Yeah,
it?
100%. Like, yeah,
And then you also look at, I mean, Corn's an interesting one at the moment because since the win against Kettering, sorry, and I thought they did very well in a 1-0 defeat to Harborough to have 10 men and only lose 1-0. Since then, they've had a little bit of a no. They obviously lost in the FA Cup to Enfield quite emphatically.
yeah,
And then also losing to Royston was a big one as well. I mean, what have you made of them? Now, obviously, you're going to, you said you'll probably head down and see them this
yeah.
weekend. What are you expecting to see when you go down there?
I don't know. It's hard to tell, but they can score goals. They've got Zach Goodson up front, who
Yeah.
is a bagsman. But yeah, they just seem very inconsistent at the moment. So yeah,
Yeah.
last 3 games in the league, 2 losses, 1 win. So I think they just need to steady the ship a bit. But it'll be interesting to see how they play. 'Cause obviously, I don't know much
Mm.
about Southern Central, so it'll be good to start following it a bit more.
No, exactly. And then I mentioned it there about touching on Harbour because I feel we've maybe done them a bit of a disservice on the show because in recent weeks we've spoke about them but not properly because of how
Yeah,
clear in a way they've been in terms of the league and whatnot. But they're 4 points clear at the top already. In recent weeks, they've beat Worksop in the FA Cup. They also beat Peterborough Sports over the weekend in the FA Cup. Another team a level above now. Peterborough Sports, obviously, again another team struggling at step two, but you have to give Harbour credit for going and getting the massive result. I think it was 4-1 in the end.
yeah,
Um, and they've had some brilliant results. And one player that's picking out for me, sorry, is Brady Hickey. This is someone who was at Barwell beforehand and was at Nuneaton just before that.
yeah,
He was at Barwell from 2017, and he's just consistently scoring double-digit goals and getting double digits for assists as well. Finally got his opportunity to go and prove himself at a higher quality side, and I think to be fair to him, he's doing that at the moment. He's absolutely flying. But
yeah,
Harbour are definitely, the best side in the league, and I think they're probably one of the best sides across all of step three. They could easily go into the end of October being 10 points clear at the top, couldn't they?
yeah, 100%. I think in terms of quality, Harbour just have a team full of it. I
Mm.
think they're organised, play well. Um, yeah, I think, it wouldn't surprise me if they're 10 points clear. Yeah,
And I also like the look of their FA Cup game against Altrincham. Now, obviously, that's a hell of a trek up to Manchester for
yeah,
them, but that's a real opportunity to prove themselves. And I think they could snatch something in that as well.
yeah. I think,
The
yeah,
FA Trophy against
even if it's a
Hednesford.
replay,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what they've got to try and do,
yeah,
because I think Harbour have a really good shot at that. But they're by far and away the best team in this league. I think most people will now say that they'll go and win the league from what
yeah,
they're doing. And there's even some of these players they brought in, like Danny Newton. He's only got 1 goal this season, but
yeah,
the amount of quality he's shown in previous years with Brackley is just
yeah.
a player that's probably just waiting to be unlocked. Is there anything else at all in the Southern Central then, mate, that's caught your eye?
Don't believe so. Bishop Stortford have sort of hit a bit of a brick wall
Yeah,
recently, starting to struggle a bit more. Uh, yeah, so I think they'll start to struggle a bit more. I didn't expect them to maintain
no,
the form they started with.
no,
But yeah,
exactly.
but as we've said, Harbour, Spalding, Kettering are still sort of flying towards the top, and I think they'll be the title race.
Mm.
If Spalding, Kettering can catch up, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
I was going to say it could be very much done by, it sounds very premature, but could be done by November.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the FA Cup then, mate, because it was obviously the penultimate qualifying round over the weekend. Things starting to shape up now.
yeah,
We had some upsets again, as you expect in the FA Cup, and then you also had the clear favourites making their way through.
yeah.
What was, some of the standout results for you over the weekend?
Spalding beating Dagenham 2-1. Dagenham
Mm,
was just in absolute free fall with whatever's going on there. It just never seems to stop for them.
no,
Yeah, I think Dagenham shit show. I think Bradbury,
yeah.
their manager's quite poor. Um, Billericay getting through against Hednesford. I think that's good for scope, sort of getting the fans on board.
Hmm.
Uh, Flackwell Heath beating Bracknell 3-0. Flackwell
Yeah.
just flying in the FA Cup and have got themselves a good draw if they want to get to the
Hmm.
first round because they've got who is it? Malden and Tiptree.
Yeah.
Then Horsham losing to Folkestone. Horsham are a good side, good National League South side, but Folkestone to go beat them after beating Maidstone in the previous round, I think, statement.
Unbeaten on there, yeah.
Then, as we've mentioned previously, Harbour beating Peterborough Sports 4-1. Like, Peterborough Sports, although have had a slow start to the season, bringing Phil Brown as manager, you wouldn't expect him to lose 4-1 to a team in the league below.
No, exactly that. Exactly that. I mean, I quite like the Spalding one because it just shows that fall of Dagenham in recent years, doesn't
Yeah,
it? Where they're now being beaten by a side like Spalding, who are on the other
yeah,
end of the scale, who obviously had a very monumental rise in recent years and are now starting to knock on the National League doors
yeah,
and so forth. Um, Elsewhere, I looked at Averley edging out Hales Owen in that
yeah,
replay, just 1-0 that was, and obviously I mentioned Horn getting absolutely smashed by Enfield. The game was called early because of the
yeah,
Corn goalkeeper. I believe it was 10 minutes before time, getting a horrible injury.
yeah.
As far as I'm aware, all things are good with the player now, so that's good to hear. But in terms of the stuff that happened in the game, from what I've heard, Corn were just well off it, and you'd maybe expect it because obviously Enfield are a level above, but they needed to get humbled this way. It's probably just brought them back down to earth a little bit, and it's kind of shown their recent form in the league has gone into this, and they're struggled. And then obviously, finally, I'll touch on St Albans as well, because obviously getting past Woodford, you look
Yeah.
at it, and obviously, like you say, to get into the final qualifying round is great. But in terms of the scoreline, a 1-0 scoreline, what was your thoughts on it and the performance and so forth?
So obviously wasn't at the game, but spoke to my dad and people there. Apparently it was an awful pitch. Woodford had a game plan just to make it difficult for us, but we got through, went 1-0 up early on, held on to it. So I
Mm.
think it was just very much crap game, but we won. But yeah, I think
That's all you need in the FA Cup,
yeah,
isn't it?
that's what Cole House said in his post-match interview. He said we knew it was going to be a crap game before we looked
Mm.
at them. We knew it was going to be tough. We just had to go there and just play our game and win.
No,
So yeah,
exactly. And then you look at the draw for the final round. Obviously, it's a big moment now, isn't it? In a couple of
yeah,
weeks, where it's the last stage of qualifying. Big moments for teams, obviously, to get into the first round, get these money ties, perhaps. What sort of standouts are there for you? Because I'm looking at the likes of Macclesfield v Stamford, perhaps. Now, Stamford are obviously rock bottom of the Southern Central at the moment, but they're ticking
yeah.
along quite nicely in the cup. They've had a favourable draw up until this point, and it's a big task ahead. I mentioned Altrincham Harbour as well. I think that's another one that stands out. And I think looking away from our respective divisions, I like the look of Farnham versus Sutton as well. I mean,
Yeah,
what's your
yeah,
fancy?
yeah. I found them are a very good side, big
Mm,
budget, good players like Ogo Obi, Brandon Mason, Bobby Joe Taylor.
hmm
It's a ridiculously good side, but Sutton struggled to start to the season. I think they're still looking for a new manager
Yeah,
at the moment. So very interesting game. I wouldn't surprise me if Farnham go cause an upset.
no,
The other
exactly.
game I have down is Southend at home to Folkestone.
hmm
Folkestone are flying. Southend just just getting by in the National League. Nothing special at the moment, I don't
No.
believe. So Folkestone, I think, could cause an upset. Um, so yeah, what South Shields versus Spalding as well. Could
Yeah, I
Spalding
like the
make it
look
to
of
the
that one as well.
final?
To be fair,
Yeah,
it's like I said there. It's a massive point now in the season, isn't it? Who have St Albans got to get? It's completely just gone out of my head. It has.
Banbury away,
Right, there we go
which I've got tickets for.
then.
Long journey down to Banbury. I'd love.
Oh no, it should be a close game, maybe,
Yeah,
possibly. You confident or not?
I feel confident. I think it's been a few years since we've got a cup run.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I think we could get through.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a home FA Cup tie in over 3 years.
In any qualifying round, no.
Any
Or
qualifying round, no. We've been drawn away every time. Since
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
since getting Bournemouth away in the FA Cup second round in
Yeah.
2022.
I mean,
So
that's all right in round three, but in these qualifying rounds where you've got to go away to Woodford and whatnot, that's
yeah,
that's not ideal. Maybe in
yeah,
round
it's
three, you can get
ridiculous.
yourself a little
Yeah,
trip to Old Trafford or something.
Yeah,
Okay, let's talk about the FA Trophy as well quickly, because obviously that kicks off this weekend
yeah,
as well in terms of the step three sides coming into it. There's a couple of really intriguing ties, isn't there? I'm looking at the likes of the one we spoke about a little bit, Corn versus Corby. Two of the best sides in step four, sorry, last season. Corby will look to get revenge on Corn because in a normal season, Corby would have probably got promotion out of that league if it weren't for Corn having
yeah,
one of the best seasons that league has ever seen. You know, having the title wrapped up by like February, March sort of time,
yeah,
and Corby would have been a step three side this season. So I look at that as one of the standouts. I look at Worcester versus Rugby as well. And
yeah,
again, away from our leagues, I don't know why, but I quite fancy the look of like Hartbury University versus Gloucester, being a Gloucestershire
mm,
sort of derby. You know, this young Hartbury University team that got a fair few headlines for, I can't remember, was it one of the FA competitions last year? They got all the way or went very far, and they were getting a lot of momentum behind them. Might have been the Vase or the Trophy. Um, so that's a good one, I think, to watch there in Gloucestershire. Is there anything else that stands out to you?
Dulwich versus Hendon. I think Dulwich started to struggle. Hendon at step four started to pick up form. I think the Hendon fans would love to go to Dulwich. Know a few of them, and they're very much looking forward to it. Russell versus Spalding. I think that's going to be a
Mm,
good game. Uh, and also Corn versus Corby. Very
yeah.
much looking forward to going to that one. Uh, so yeah, that's what I've got down at the moment.
No, and as a Kettering fan, we've got St Ives away, which is
Yeah,
not the not ideal. I don't know how to feel about it personally. I always worry when you draw these like middling teams who are in your
yeah,
division, and obviously we've already been knocked out of one cup by a team in our league.
yeah.
Going away to St Ives, we've got a pretty decent record against them, but I'm not gonna say anything on that too soon.
Yeah.
That's Is there anything else then across either FA competition that you want to touch on
Well,
before
I
we
was
move
going to
into a
say
bit of?
St Albans away to Aveley again.
Mm.
We're away to them last month. Got to go back later on in the season for hashtag away. If we got to, we have to go back again if we got to the final of the League Cup. And if we got
Yeah,
Aveley or hashtag in the League Cup, we'd have to go away to there again. So we could go to Aveley so many times this season. So yeah, I think
is it
that's
a
going to
nice
be a tough
place to
game.
be?
Yeah, it could be a tough game
Mm.
against Aveley. So I'm not too optimistic for FA Trophy.
No, definitely, and I'll talk about Kettering a little bit in a moment. But in terms of like FA Trophy wise, we've got a really poor record in the FA Trophy. I think we got knocked out last season by Gainsborough Trinity. Now, obviously, Gainsborough
Yeah,
Trinity had a very good cup run in both competitions, in the
yeah,
FA Cup and the FA Trophy. But in terms of that, they were level below, and they were also um, what was the word? They were struggling big time in the league.
yeah.
We had them at home, and I can't remember what the score was. It was either 2 or 3 nil. We rested loads of
Oh no,
players, and I could
yeah.
see us doing that again against St Ives, resting players and possibly getting caught out.
Yeah, no, last season we lost to Basford Town, who were league below. After we lost to them, I think they lost the next 15 league games.
Yeah, not ideal,
So,
is it?
yeah, yeah, I think that may have been one of the lowest moments of last season.
I mean, it'd be nice to have an FA Trophy run. It really
Yeah,
would, but we do not have a good
yeah,
record in it
yeah,
recently. Let's go into then to slowly start to round off like the club talks that we always touch on, and obviously
yeah.
we'll start with St Albans. We touched on it a little bit at the head of the episode, how form's looking a lot better, a lot more green. I mean, just you spoke about it already, Zach, a little bit, but what's it been like in recent weeks for St Albans and looking forward as well?
Yeah, it's been getting better. I think we're attacking more in games, we're playing good football. We're not resorting to long balls, sitting back straight away. And I think Coldhouse is starting to understand the squad he has and starting to very
Mm,
much play to their strengths, which is fast-paced football. I think a few players have started to stand out more and more. I think Leo Seri, I think showcasing his talent. I think he needs to work on his decision making a little bit, but he definitely has the quality. Jasper
yeah,
Mayfair, I think, is a superb poacher. Zane Banton's coming into form. Lewis Page really coming into form. I think, yeah, the squad's really starting to gel a bit. His Kone coming back against Lewis after a few weeks out for personal reasons. I think getting that goal, you could already tell by the look on his face, it meant so much to him.
yeah,
So yeah, I think the squad's really getting to a good place. I think FA Cup runs helping it. Uh, off the pitch, our head of media has gone to Wildstone. Not going to say much other than very glad about that. But no, we'll get somehow someone worse in. So yeah, that's all that I'm going to say about it. I could say a lot more. But yeah. So yeah, I think it's all looking kind of upwards at the moment.
Yeah. No, it definitely is starting to look a little bit more rosy as such. I mean, looking at the league table wise, 4 points off the top five. Some favourable fixtures coming up in the likes of Potter's Bar, Welling. Obviously, travelling to Billericay, sorry, difficult there. But then you go to like hosting Burgess Hill, hashtag Dulwich as well away. It's a big sort of period coming up again, isn't it? And especially if you get through the FA Cup past Banbury, the
Yeah,
potential of playing an EFL side or a high National League side, it could be a little bit more exciting and keep getting that momentum behind you, couldn't it?
yeah, 100%. I think if next two games, I think if we beat Aveley, beat Banbury, everything's just going to be looking up, and I think
Mm.
the club will sort of start getting away with some of the decisions they made over the summer. I think everyone will just be in a feel good mood and start to forget about it a little bit, and the club will sort of just
Mm.
like find their luck a bit with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good times at the moment, and
No,
hopefully it
definitely.
stays good. But support this club long enough to know the good times really don't last that long.
It doesn't last. The good times don't last.
Yeah,
Oh. Well, in terms of Kettering then, because I think the last time we did this, it was we just gone out the cup to Corn, I believe. Um,
yeah,
and I think the fixtures that followed that were Bishop Stortford and Stamford obviously had a week off because we got knocked out of the cup.
yeah,
And credit to the squad for bouncing back against Bishop Stortford, and they came from behind to win 3-1. There was a form. I haven't been to many Kettering games this season, but it was apparently there was a formation change in the second half because we went 1-0 down in the first half. Second half, Simon Holyhead changed to a back four, and apparently it was just so much better than anything we've played all season. Hence why we
yeah,
won and scored 3 goals. New signing Ishmael. I'm not going to even attempt the second name because I don't want to butcher it, but we'll call him Ishmael. He broke his arm in like the final preseason game. He came on in this one against Bishop Stortford, got a goal, and has looked really, really sharp in the 2 games that followed. Looking like he could be a real asset. And after some optimism was injected back into the fan base after beating Bishop Stortford, it came shutting right back down because drawing at home to Stamford was far from ideal. As I mentioned earlier, they're rock bottom of the league. They haven't won yet in the league this season. And they had their goalkeeper was sent off on the hour mark, so they had to put an outfield player in goal. So we had half an hour of the likes of Niall Ranger, Jamal Loza, Callum Powell, all these quality attacking players that Kettering fans like to say are the best in the division and should be playing higher. They played half an hour against an outfielder in goal and only managed to score one, which Callum Powell got 10 minutes before the end. And then Stamford scored in the 95th minute to get a point. Now, to not be able to put to bed, a team who had their goalkeeper sent off, I think that's quite
yeah,
frankly, it's so poor for a team that
yeah,
obviously want to go on and achieve what they want to do in terms of Kettering. And it just seems like it's always one step forward and 3 steps
yeah,
back. We get a win against a decent side, but we can't build on it in the following game. It happened a couple of weeks ago when we beat somewhere, I can't remember who it was exactly, but then the next game we drew to Worcester and played awful. And
yeah,
since that game against Rail Bedford, which was probably one of the best performances this season, it's just one win in 5 league games now. We're still, though, somehow second. So the
yeah,
promotion charge is well and truly still on. The optimism is well
yeah,
and truly still there. But like I said, it's such a clunk of teams now. It's
yeah,
really, really going to be difficult. And we could see ourselves slip a little bit if we don't change things around.
yeah,
And as I mentioned, of course, St Ives in the FA Trophy this weekend. We have a poor record in the trophy in recent years.
yeah,
I add that to the fact that I'm not very confident against playing a team in the mid tables of your division. And then it goes to a massive game at against Overchurch. So it's very similar to St Albans, in fact, because it's such a big period coming up now
yeah,
in these big games with the FA Trophy starting again. If we do get through that, if we're at the FA Trophy, then it's got to be full focus on the league, obviously. But there's big times ahead. There's a lot of challenges still there at Kettering. I mean, is there anything you've seen at all in Kettering that maybe has stuck out or surprised you at all?
Well, I actually think getting knocked out of the FA Cup, and if you got knocked out of the FA Trophy, could be a benefit in disguise. Because already looking at St Albans' fixtures, the fixture congestion is going to get
Yeah, there is
really
that.
bad come sort of December. So I think you lot could benefit from that. But other than that, I haven't really looked that much at you lot. So yeah,
No, I mean
should be
there is
interesting.
obviously that benefit, which always does help a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, I'm just going to try and just quickly get our fixtures up now. So yeah, we've got Overchurch away, which is not going to be easy, and then you've got
yeah,
Needham Market at home, Redditch away, which isn't going to be easy, Banbury away, that probably won't be easy,
yeah,
and then St Ives at home, and then Corn away. So they're difficult fixtures coming up, and it's going to be really, really interesting. It's interesting to see what side of the fences Kettering fans are on, because obviously a couple of weeks ago I said it was very much a divided fan base. It hasn't
yeah,
really changed from what I've seen on Twitter. If we go out the FA Trophy to St Ives and then lose to Alvechurch, I think it could very much be swaying one way than the other. That way being obviously that fans would want to see Simon get sacked, which if it's a tough one to call, isn't it? Really, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens, because we, like I said, we're still second, 4 points back from Harbour, which isn't ideal, but they're going to. We're not in a title fight with them. We're in these playoff positions with the likes of Our Church, Spalding, Rail Bedford, these sort of teams. I think we need to be looking at these teams rather than looking at Harbour. I
yeah.
mean, is there anything else then, Zach, that you want to touch on before we start to round it off?
No, I think we've covered it all. I think,
Perfect. I mean, let's round it off there then, mate, because obviously I we've got stuff to crack on with, and I know you
yeah,
obviously being a uni student, you have got a night out probably in the next couple of days that you need to recover for. But
yeah,
as always, mate, thank you for being here.
yeah. No worries. Enjoyed it.
Perfect. And of course, thank you to everyone who has tuned in. We will be back in a couple of weeks for another episode of Below the Pyramid. Of course, if you still want to get involved, then drop me or Zach a message on socials. But until then, we will see you later.
So, yeah.